Hey y'all, I'm back and I have more Let's Not Meet stories that I'm really nervous to read. I picked the first one out and I didn't read any of it. I just saw that it had like 100% upvotes and a comment said it was like a movie. I'm so excited to read it, but I'm also scared because these stories are like traumatizing. Also, I'm filming way later than I normally would. It's like 5 p.m. I film at like 9 a.m. most of the time, so the lighting is different, but it's fine. We're gonna hop right in. The first story says, and this is long, the reason why I will never work the night shift again. I live in a small town where everyone knows everyone, so names have been changed for privacy reasons. I started as a night auditor at a local hotel. I can't say the word local to save my life right now. At a local hotel in town about 2 months ago. The pay wasn't great, but it was very laid back, which was perfect for me because I just needed something while I'm getting my bachelor's degree. I came in at 11 p.m. and worked until 7 a.m. Didn't have much to do except file some paperwork and send some emails. I'm going to try to explain how the hotel was set up so you can get a layout of how the building was. The lobby was not connected to the guest rooms and it was in its own building connected to a large dining room where breakfast was served each morning to the guests at the hotel, and on the opposite side of the building was the bar. It was your stereotypical hotel small town bar. The lobby and bar was only separated by a thin wall and hallway where the bathrooms were, and the same went for the dining room. The back hallway is where we kept extra supplies connected to all 3 rooms, and it also connected the kitchen attached to the dining room. This day had been like any other. I woke up, went to my friend Simon's house, we hung out, watched a movie, and then he dropped me off at work. I have a car, but it's at the shop right now getting worked on. As we pull up, I notice a young guy in his 20s standing near the entrance of the hotel. I thought he looked familiar, but couldn't place him. I arrived at work at 11:02 tonight. Tasha, the girl I was taking over for, had already packed her stuff and was ready to clock out. She quickly gave me the rundown about how her day had been, told me a man had told her to let me know not to lock the front door tonight because he worked 3rd shift and would be coming in for coffee, which I thought was weird because I'm either at the front desk all night or in the back office watching the cameras. Then Tasha told me to have a good night and she left. As Tasha pulled off, I noticed the guy that had been standing outside was still there. I thought maybe he had been at the bar or something, so I didn't think anything of it. I went ahead and started doing some of the paperwork in the back office so I would have some downtime later. Then I heard the front door open. I looked up to the camera and saw the guy standing by the door, which I had locked, and I walked over and opened it. He smiled and asked if he could use my phone to call someone to pick him up. I handed him the hotel's cordless because mine was still in my bag. He stood there holding the phone in his hand, just looking at me. Then, as if he realized he was being weird, he looked down and started dialing a number. After a second, he hung up and tried to do a second number. "Nora, please don't move my tripod." Then he turned back to me, he looked down to my name tag and read Shelby out loud, and he said, "Shelby, my last name from my high school." I just looked at him confused. It's Tyler, last name from high school. I don't know if you remember me or not. No, not right now. Not right now. I did, but he was an asshole then, so I chose to play dumb. It's not ringing any bells. He smiled really big. Well, that was a lifetime ago. He handed me back the phone, then said he had just moved back to town and he guessed he would walk home. As he began to walk out, he stopped at the door and turned around, looked at me for a second, then said something that creeped me the heck out. "Better lock this door. You don't want an unwanted guest coming in later." I smiled, then told him I was fine and locked the door behind him as he left. I watched as he walked over to the curb and sat down, but then maybe after 2 to 3 minutes, a white car drove up and he stood up and got inside. I thought this was strange because he didn't get anyone to answer when he used the phone and he didn't talk to the driver of the car, he just got in when they pulled up. I could hear the music from the bar through the wall and I looked down to the clock on the computer screen. They closed at midnight, but it was already 12:30, so I assumed that they were going to stay open an extra hour tonight. Continued my paperwork and honestly forgot about Tyler, but then I look up to see a white car drive by, the same white car that I picked him up. They drove through the parking lot again. Maybe 5 minutes later, I saw 2 young guys walk up to the dining room door beside the lobby and tried to pull it open. They then turned to the lobby and pulled on that door. I walked over, unlocked it, and then saw a better view of them. The taller one was shirtless. He had his hair pulled up into a small man bun on top of his head, and the smaller one had a darker complexion. They walked in and asked me if they could grab some extra cups out of the dining room, which wasn't strange because guests always wanted extra forks or something. So I said sure, go ahead, and they walked into the dark dining room. About 5 more minutes passed, and I was wondering what the heck was taking them so long, so I walked into the dining room and they were standing in the back of the room whispering to each other. I flipped on the light because the switch was right by the door and asked them if they were okay. They quickly said yes, then grabbed their cups and walked out and walked into the lobby and out the front door. I walked up, locked the door, and watched as they headed for the hill where the rooms were. Then the shirtless one looked back like he was seeing if I was watching them or not. The night dragged on like normal after that. Kenny, the maintenance guy, brought his keys in to lock them up and left a couple of cans of wasp spray. I also can't say that. I'm struggling today saying some of these words. A couple cans of wasp spray with his extra gear by the desk. Apparently the wasps had built a nest on the corner of the building and he had to get rid of them tomorrow. The bar finally closed and I watched as the parking lot slowly emptied. I liked this time because once Chloe the bartender left, I could invite Simon over and we could watch movies and hang out the rest of the night. Chloe came into the lobby, her hair tied up into a ponytail, and she looked exhausted. "Fuck tonight, girl. I'm glad I'm off the next couple days," she said as she locked up her keys. She handed me the money to drop in the safe and said she was going to finish cleaning up and then she was out of here. I quickly texted Simon, "She's about to leave, come on." He responded, "I'm already here." I look out and surely enough, his car was parked outside the lobby and he smiled and waved as he opened the door. He pushed his dark rimmed glasses up on his nose and then tugged on the internal door, which was locked, and I ran to unlock it. "Chloe's still here. You can't be here yet." "Shit, what should I do?" "I'm not sure. I could run up to the pool and stick my legs in until she's gone." I agreed and he left and I watched as he walked up the hill to the pool. I finished up my paperwork and then walked to the kitchen to make some fresh coffee so I didn't fall asleep. In between snaps of Simon at the pool, I fixed myself a snack and then made another pot of coffee for later. I turned the corner out of the kitchen and into the dining room, and standing on the other side of the glass door was a man in all black clothes, and he was wearing a white painted face mask in the shade of a fox. I dropped the plate of food I had because it had scared me so bad. He had his hand up to the window, looking in, trying to see me. I slid down the wall and backed up into the doorway of the kitchen. I tried to keep my eyes on him. I saw his black hoodie and gloves he had on, and then I saw a glint of light from his hand. A knife. I covered my mouth, thinking he could hear my breath even through the walls. I crawled my way to the back hallway and stood and ran to the bar. I jerked open the door and saw another man. The only difference in his costume was his mask was a white bunny. I looked to his feet where I saw Chloe in a pool of blood. Shut the fuck up! I looked to his feet where I saw Chloe in a pool of blood and a large gash on her head. Her blonde hair stained red from blood. This is not what I was expecting. What the oh my god. I screamed and slammed the door shut as he jumped towards me. In the chaos, I must have dropped my phone because it wasn't in my vest pocket anymore. I quickly pulled the shelf over and it blocked the door. He couldn't get through. I ran back to the kitchen and crawled through the dark dining room into the lobby. I had left the cordless phone in the office, so I thought if I could get to it, I could call the police. I ran into the lobby, slammed the door to the office. I looked around but couldn't find the phone. I watched as on the cameras, a third man walked onto the screen. He was wearing a mask of a stag. I'm not sure what that is, but it doesn't matter. He tossed the cordless phone to Bunny Boy and stomped on it on the ground. I realized the front door must have been unlocked because how else would he be able to get the phone? I opened the office door a crack to look out. I quickly flung it open and ran to the front door and locked it. The stag must have saw me because he ran to the door and started jerking on it, trying to get in. Then I heard glass breaking to my right. I looked to the dining room and Foxface had tossed a rock through the glass. He stepped through and I could hear the glass crunch under his large boots. His head snapped towards me and then he bolted. He grabbed me and tossed me over the front desk. I slammed into the ground. It knocked the air out of me. I was stunned. I'm stunned right now. What the fuck? What is happening? Is this real? No, be like so fucking honest with me. This is so scary. I heard heavy footsteps running around the desk and then he was over me and he began to choke me, but I was able to reach my hand up to the desk organizer. I jabbed the blue-handled scissors deep into his neck and he froze. His grip loosened and he fell to the floor. I ran back to the office and slammed the door shut and locked it. I watched on the cameras as the stag and Bunny Boy ran inside and ran over to Foxface and checked on him. Bunny Boy slammed into the office door and the stag just shook his head. He looked up to the camera, tilted his head, and pulled something out of his pocket. He held it up to the camera. It was my phone, and on it was a message from Simon. The stag hit Bunny Boy and then showed him the message, and Bunny Boy ran off. I had clicked to the other angle of the camera to watch as he ran up the hill to the pool. He was going after Simon. I had to do something. I had to get up there and I had to save him. After a second, I remembered something. The main breaker to the hotel was in the office. I ran to the breaker box and flipped the switch and everything went dark. I felt my way over to the door and looked up to the camera, which were still recording in night vision, so I saw the stag looking around confused. I opened the door, I ran and plunged the scissors into his leg and pushed him over. I unlocked the front door and ran. I could hear him screaming behind me in pain. I started running up the hill and got to the pool. I jerked open the gate and saw Bunny Boy standing on the edge of the pool, his boot pressing down on Simon's head, holding him underwater, drowning him. I grabbed the pool net and slammed it into Bunny Boy's head. This took him off guard and knocked him into the pool. I ran over to the side of the pool and pulled Simon out, and he was unconscious. I started CPR, and finally he spit the water up. Thank God. But before I could celebrate, Bunny Boy jumped out of the water and grabbed me and dragged me into the pool. He started trying to slash at me, but I was able to fight him off. Then I heard a strange sound. The cover to the pool was closing. I pushed Bunny Boy off of me and kicked him in the face and swam to the surface. As I sprung out of the water, I saw Simon near the control box with his thumb on the button, closing the cover. I pulled myself out of the pool. Bunny Boy began swimming for the edge, and I picked up the pool net again. As he stood up, I knocked him back underwater as the cover closed. We heard muffled screams underwater until the bubbles stopped. Oh my God, this is like, what the fuck is happening? I look over to Simon, who was not doing great. He was holding a stab wound that I hadn't seen earlier. I grabbed a pool towel and put pressure on it. I told him to hold on, I was going to get help. I walked back down to the lobby, my hair now dripping and smelling like chlorine. I stepped through the broken door into the lobby. I ran into the kitchen, grabbed a large knife, and then crawled my way back into the lobby. There was a button under the register that I could push in case of a robbery and that would call the police. I just had to get to it. I was crawling on the floor to the desk when I was grabbed by the stag. He stabbed his knife into my leg, causing me to scream out in pain. I retaliate by swinging my knife at him, slicing him across the face and knocking the mask off. Fuck, it's gonna be Tyler! Or was that even his name? I kicked him as he fumbled for the mask and then turned to look at me. It was Tyler! I was stunned, frozen. I could only think of one thing to say. Why? Because you weren't polite. Pretty girls are supposed to be polite. No, I don't know what that noise was, sorry. Fuck that, I said, as I reached for Kenny's wasp spray and emptied the can into Tyler's face. He screamed until his voice was raspy. He finally passed out from the pain as the police lights danced across the lobby ceiling. I dropped the can and stumbled my way out of the door. Who called you guys? I asked the officer. I did, Simon said as he stumbled down the hill holding his cell phone. Now, can someone please make me stop bleeding? The cops ran over to him as the others ran inside with their guns drawn. They arrested Tyler, and apparently Foxface and Bunny Boy had been the two guys that needed extra cups. I found out that after high school, Tyler's mom had passed away. Then a few years after that, his dad and sister had died in a car accident. He moved away and got in with the wrong crowd and started doing meth. When he moved back, he was still using, and he and his buddies had planned to just rob the hotel that night, but when Tyler recognized me, he knew I could trace it back to him, so they couldn't leave anyone alive. The hotel gave me a long-needed vacation and a good therapist to make up for this, but even after that, I still couldn't stand working there, so I quit. No, good! I'd never go back! And when I went to find a new job, I made it very clear I don't work the night shift. So, Tyler, the creepy guy from high school who tried to kill me Ghostface style at my night shift job, let's not meet again. No, because that is not what I was expecting in the slightest. If I had a list of everything I expected, that wouldn't even be on there because I don't even know how to, okay, here's my thing. I trust everything you guys send me is true because I love you. I am so insanely sorry that is so traumatizing. I have no words for that. Oh my God. Also, I was so into that story, I didn't realize it took me 20 minutes to read. That was the fastest. It felt so quick because I was like so into it. Which I should not be into a story that is that traumatizing for you, but like you wrote it so well and it was so insane. Like it was so intense, like there was constantly something new. I don't know why I didn't automatically think, oh, that was Tyler to begin with. I didn't, but I put it together at the end. My camera's gonna stop recording. Since I knew that one was gonna be really long, I only picked out one more. This one is shorter, but it's also like not like a job story, but it's like the closest thing I could find. It says, Creep opened his junk shop in my hometown and I nearly escaped his death trap. Like, what is happening to you guys? Hey Courtney, I'm Tara. I love your channel. You really inspire me and I hope to soon have a storytelling channel too. Wait, do it. To get to the story, when I was 17, a new secondhand store called Dave's Secondhand opened in my hometown. My whole family loved thrifting, so we were super excited about the new shop. I can remember the first time that I went in there. It wasn't what I was used to when it came to thrift stores. It was a mess. I guess it was more of a junk shop, but even calling it that is a little generous. Back then, I was young and naive, so didn't think much about this or the following events. Somehow, I had gotten into a conversation with the shop owner, Dave, his real name, about smoking weed. I remember telling him that I didn't have a problem with anyone smoking weed. I used to smoke a ton of it myself, but not anymore because it would make me paranoid. This man, in his mid-30s, then told me, a teenage girl, well, if you ever want to smoke some weed, you can just come back to the back of my store. I told him again that I didn't smoke weed because it made me paranoid. He He got frustrated with me and said, well, I'm just saying if you ever want to, you can come to the back of my shop. I told him again that I was okay, I didn't smoke weed, and this time he actually got angry. I'm just saying if you ever want to. I didn't know what to say at this point, so I just told him, okay, with no intentions to ever smoke weed with him. I left his shop, never to return again. If it had been the previous year when I was a little bit younger and I did smoke, I'm not sure if I would have been able to tell him no and stick to it. It wasn't long after this creepy encounter with Dave that my younger sister, 15 at the time, came home one day and told my dad that Dave had offered her a job sorting clothes in his shop after hours. Immediately my dad said no, thank God. He said the fact that Dave offered her a strictly after hours job was creepy. Thank God for my father's insight. My dad's friend Perry came over one day and told us he had also had a creepy encounter with Dave. It was the first time he'd been to Dave's shop, and Perry said it was totally weird. I'm not sure how their conversation had gone, but supposedly Dave showed Perry a sledgehammer that he kept behind his counter for just in case. Perry was put off by Dave's demeanor and thought he seemed like a total creep, and just so happened that he was. Fast forward later into the summer, and every single local newspaper and site is headlined with a brutal attack that took place at Dave's second hand. The victim, a young woman in her early 20s, was lured into the shop by Dave after hours. She had her toddler son with her. Dave had promised he would sell her a mattress for a cheap price. She was a single mom and in need. Once he had gotten her into the shop, this monster proceeded to attack her with the sledgehammer. Fuck, I don't know if I should say this next part. Okay, trigger warning, trigger warning. SA'd her for 12 hours. Yeah, okay. Thank God they made it out alive somehow. Holy shit, thank God. And a Canada-wide warrant was issued for David Wesley Bobbitt. The idiot was eventually found only a few miles away camping. This all happened in 2011. Dave is still in jail and admitted to authorities himself that he is dangerous and should not be released. To make matters so much worse was this guy had been accused of R-word by another woman previous to this, but nothing was done about it because she was drunk when it happened, so authorities didn't believe she was credible. No, like, I fucking hate that. No, I hate that. I personally believe there should be zero tolerance when it comes to R-word, SA, immediate charges no matter what until proven otherwise. That's like really hard. I feel like it's not that easy, and I don't think it ever will be that easy, but like I kind of agree, but like it can't. Like it's just so complicated. Obviously, if there's proof, yes, of course. Like if she was drunk, who fucking cares? If she has proof of it, put this man away. This wouldn't have happened if they would have listened to her. I live in BC, Canada, and we have zero tolerance when it comes to domestic violence, so why not with others? No, I agree. I agree. So to the creep who opened a junk shop in my hometown and proceeded to cause havoc and trauma, let's never meet again. P.S. Thank you for reading my story, and please give a shout out to my YouTube channel at Tara Tricia. It's T-E-R-A-H, Tricia, T-R-I-C-I-A. If all goes as planned, by the time you're reading this, I will have uploaded my first video. Go check them out, please. That's so scary because you literally encountered that man and your sister, no. It's terrible that it happened to anybody at all. Oh, but it's like, he was like luring people in. No. Fuck that. I am so glad he's put away, and I'm glad that he will most likely never get out because of what he did. And I hope he dies in jail, rots in prison, and dies. That is all I have for now. Those stories were insane. Like the shit that happens to you, like these are stories from you guys. Like what is happening? But if you have any other stories you want to share with me or the community, I will have my subreddit link down below. But I feel like I need to say again, I'm so sorry that both of you had to live through that, and there's a giant truck driving by. I'm sorry that happened to both of you. I can't even imagine. But I am gonna go. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye. Not sure if I have anything to ramble about, especially after that. Like, I cannot go from reading those types of stories to being like, these are the silly details of my day. And like I said, I don't even think I have anything because I haven't done anything all week, didn't do anything over the weekend. I ain't got shit. I love you so much. I like how the outro to my rambly part, there's a piece of rice on my counter. I like how the outro to my rambly part has just become me singing that I love you. I don't know when that happened, but I kind of like it. But I love you so much. See you.